Morning, everyone. It's so lovely to see so many of you here with us in the room today. And also a very good morning to everyone watching via the live stream on Narrowcast and on YouTube. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nathan Yeowell. I'm the Executive Director of Progressive Britain. And I'd like to welcome you to the 2023 Progressive Britain Conference, Ambition for Britain. Now, before I get cracking, I've got some housekeeping notifications. The main takeaway is, if there is a fire alarm, it is not a drill. So if the fire alarm goes off, can you please make your way out of the building along the fire escape exits that are marked, and the assembly point is on the southeast corner of Bedford Square. There will be stewards there if indeed the alarms go off, and then essentially we have to listen to what the steward has to say, which I'm sure we all would anyway without telling. But moving back on. So this conference is the first set-piece Labour event to be held since last week's local elections, which, thanks I'm sure to everyone here and everyone watching at home, were a very, very significant step forward. In terms of figures, we made 537 gains in council seats last week, meaning we elected a total of 2,675 councillors. That means across the UK, we now have over 6,200 councillors, making us the largest party in local government for the first time since 2003, giving us a fantastic springboard as we refocus on next year's general election. We can be under no illusion that over the next 12 months, in the run-up to that general election, the time will be crucial. For the first time now in 15 years, the public actually wants to listen to what we have to say. They're ready to take us seriously. Ignore the falling scenery. Now, this will mark a new phase for Labour since what was, I think most of us can agree, the electoral disaster of 2019. Over the course of those last 3 years, we've seen different phases in activity in the party. The first one, I think we can agree, was a battle for our very survival. We had to turn the dial from those disastrous years under Jeremy Corbyn. We had to prove that we were worthy of being a political party again. After the successful passage of those party reforms in the autumn of 2021, which I know we all put our backs into making sure that we had that success for Keir, that period from November 21 until last week, if you like, was a battle for relevance to ensure actually we were contestable against the incumbent Tory government. But now we're facing what is going to be the biggest battle of all, and that is a battle for the country. So we cannot go ill-equipped into this battle. We need the economic, the political, and the intellectual arguments to win. Increasingly, Labour has an exciting agenda, but as the progressive wing of the Labour Party, we cannot rest. We cannot become dogmatic, and neither can we become ideological. What worked in the past is not necessarily suitable for the problems we face in the future. And neither can we afford to focus on new, potentially forward-looking agendas, like the impact of AI, at the expense of difficult and persistent problems in the policy areas which ultimately, we know in the end, will undermine that progressive message. This is why we have a broad mix of sessions at this conference today, covering immigration, the reform of Job Centre Plus, and the rebirth of the NHS. We need progressive answers to the cost of living crisis, to the persistence of regional inequality, and how the benefits of green growth are shared. We need answers to these hard questions. This is why we reset and we relaunched Progressive Britain 2 years ago, and it is what we will continue to do up to the general election and beyond, committed to the successful election of the next Labour government. In this, there is much we can learn from our sister parties around the world, particularly in Australia, in Germany, and across the Atlantic in the United States. So we're very grateful today to our partners for this conference, the Progressive Policy Institute, for supporting us and helping us bring an international perspective today and to our wider work. After a long and destructive period of populism, many places around the world are now seeing the return of mainstream progressives and social democrats into government, with effective answers to the problems their countries face, and PPI has been at the forefront of that. That balance between what works and what matters is one that progressives must constantly find and re-evaluate. It is why events like this matter, because it can only be found through discussion and through debate, by listening and by learning, and by testing and iterating policy interventions. That is the way that Labour wins arguments, and that is the way that Labour will win the country. And now, it's enough from me, because to start this conference properly, I would like to introduce the man who has fought for Labour's survival, who has secured our continued relevance as a party, and who will lead us into battle for the hearts and minds of the British people. And I know that everyone here and online will have his back. So please be upstanding. I'd like to introduce the leader of the Labour Party and the man who will become Labour's next Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
Before we start,